As Marcus Chen entered the reinforced airlock, his heavy boots echoed against the crystal floor as he passed through. There were 27 young Calarians, each as small as a house cat but destined to reach apex. In the vast chamber's center, a group of predators capable of tearing through starship hulls huddled together. The fear patterns on their iridescent scales created waves of deep purple and silver across their small bodies. The administrator of the facility, Elder Vexar, stood behind reinforced glass as the human examined his new charges. 6 of the Elder's eyes widened in doubt. He had never seen a guardian assignment as inadequate in all of his cycles. Humans were fragile, emotional creatures, soft-skinned mammals who couldn't even regulate their own body temperature properly. How could one possibly protect Calaran young from the void hunters that had been terrorizing the outer colonies? Vexar had mentioned your unusual credentials during the briefing, the harmonic undertones of doubt barely contained in his voice. No military background, no combat augmentations. You're a teacher from Earth's education system. Marcus had simply nodded, his calm demeanor unchanged. That is accurate. Education for elementary students with a focus on behavioral development and crisis intervention. Now, as the human knelt among the frightened cubs, Vexitar wondered if the hiring committee had made a catastrophic error. As Marcus slowly extended his hand toward the closest one, a small female with distinctive golden markings, the cubs' trembling got worse. Adult Calarans could sense fear and weakness from a great distance in the wild, enabling them to hunt prey with brutal efficiency. Their young possessed the same sensitivity, and right now they were detecting nothing but genuine calm from the strange pink-skinned creature before them. "Hey there," Marcus said in a low whisper, his voice devoid of the predatory tones that dominated Calarian speech. "I know you're scared. That's fine. You are smart enough to recognize danger if you are scared." The golden-marked cub tilted her head, confusion rippling across her scales. Adult voices always contained orders, assertions of dominance, or warnings about territory. This sound was different, warm, safe. Over the following days, Vexitar observed with growing bewilderment as something unprecedented occurred in the nursery. The cubs, who had been catatonic with trauma since the last Void Hunter attack, began to respond to the human's presence. Marcus didn't try to dominate them or establish pack hierarchy as Caltherian tradition demanded. Instead, he sat with them, spoke in those strange soft tones, and engaged in bizarre activities he called games and stories. During the weekly meeting of the staff, Security Chief Rathic growled, "The human is compromising their development. Caltherian young must learn strength, dominance, and survival instincts. He's softening them." But Vexar had noticed something else. The cubs were eating again. Their healthy, vibrant colors had returned to their scales. Surprisingly, they had begun to trust not only Marcus but also each other, forming cooperative bonds that typically couldn't be broken until they reached full maturity. On day 12, the test was given. Void Hunter scouts materialized at the facility's perimeter at 0347 station time. Their bioships were pulsating with evil energy. The only purpose these creatures served was to consume young, sentient life. Drawn to the specific neural patterns of developing minds, they had already devastated 3 nursery facilities across the sector. Alarms shrieked through the corridors as the first wave of hunters phased through the outer barriers. Each creature was 3 meters tall, had razor-sharp appendages, and could project terror directly into the minds of their prey, a hunting adaptation that typically paralyzed prey. 27 Calaran cubs instinctively huddled together in the nursery, their scales flashing panic patterns. But this time, they weren't alone. Marcus stood between the cubs and the sealed nursery entrance, checking the simple projectile weapon the facility had provided. There are no enhanced reflexes, powered armor, or energy shields. Only a human teacher is available. With standard-issue equipment facing creatures that had slaughtered trained warriors, the first hunter phased through the nursery wall, its mental projection hitting the room like a tsunami of pure terror. The cubs trembled but held their positions. They had learned something from their human guardian that no Caltharian education had ever taught them. When you're afraid, standing together can be the bravest thing you can do. Marcus felt the fear projection wash over him, visions of death, helplessness, and despair designed to shut down higher brain functions. But human minds evolved through millennia of facing impossible odds had developed their own defenses. Where other species experienced paralyzing terror, Marcus felt something else entirely: protective fury. The hunter's surprise lasted exactly 2.3 seconds, long enough for Marcus to put 7 rounds center mass into its torso. As it collapsed, 2 more hunters materialized behind it. What followed became legend throughout the Kalaran territories. The human did not engage in combat like a warrior or a predator would. He fought like something far more dangerous: a parent protecting his children. Every move was planned to be as effective as possible, every shot placed with surgical precision. When his ammunition ran low, he used the environment, shattering crystal formations to create barriers, triggering emergency bulkheads to trap individual hunters, even using his own body as bait to lure creatures into killing zones. However, when the largest hunter broke through the inner perimeter, it was the most shocking moment. Something extraordinary occurred as it advanced on the cubs, causing such intense terror that even Marcus fell to the ground. The same golden-marked cub that had first come up to Marcus stepped forward. Her scales were no longer flashing fear patterns. Instead, they showed something that had never been documented in Kalarian juveniles: protective determination. One by one, her siblings joined her, forming a defensive line in front of their guardian. The hunter stopped, perplexed. Young prey was supposed to disperse or freeze, rather than organize and remain steadfast. In that moment of hesitation, Marcus landed the killing shot. When the security teams finally breached the nursery, they found Marcus sitting against the wall, bleeding from multiple wounds, but very much alive. The 27 cubs had arranged themselves in a protective circle around him, their scales showing the deep blue-green of absolute loyalty. Elder Vexar stared at the scene in wonder. What had been impossible for centuries in Caltharian tradition had been accomplished in 12 days by one individual. He had taught their young that true strength came not from dominance or aggression, but from the willingness to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. How? Vexar asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Marcus looked up, exhaustion evident in his human features, but his eyes remained clear and calm. I treated them as children who needed to feel safe before they could become strong, so I treated them like that. Sometimes giving someone weapons or training is not always the most effective thing you can do. Sometimes it's just showing them that someone cares enough to stand between them and the dark. The cubs pressed closer to their guardian, their purring creating a harmonic resonance that filled the chamber with warmth. Elder Vexar also realized for the first time why the gentlest species in the galaxy had somehow evolved into its most formidable protectors. Humans guarded not only with strength and skill, they guarded with love.